With us now, someone who has been covering and working for Democrats for decades, was on Capitol Hill when it wasn't forbidden for senators on both sides of the aisle to raise a glass together. Chris Matthews, former anchor of Hardball on MSNBC, author of the new book, Lessons from Bobby, 10 Reasons Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Is there a Bobby Kennedy-like figure in America right now?
No. No. Look, I think your question up front was the big question, which is common sense. If you look at just the immigration issue, the hottest issue on the right, and you ask yourself, why didn't they just take credit for closing the border? Everybody agreed with that. Not an Hispanic leader in this country, not an activist in this country has complained about the border being closed because they knew it was wrong to have it wide open. Chinese pouring in these doors. It was wrong. Biden was wrong. But when you get the people that have been here 20, 30 years, you're missing the piece, missing the opportunity. Most people would say, get the criminals out of here, get the people who just got in here, and be reasonable about it. Be reasonable.
So you're saying there isn't...
No, I'm not. I'm saying this is what I think is common sense.
Right, okay, so can America have another Bobby Kennedy? And I'll play the soundbite before I let you answer this. This was Bobby Kennedy, 1968, after MLK was assassinated, that night in Indianapolis. Take a listen.
Thank you.
We can move in that direction as a country, in greater polarization, black people amongst blacks, and white amongst whites, filled with hatred toward one another. Or we can make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and replace that violence, that stain of bloodshed that is spread across our land.
Indianapolis is the only city that did riot.
It didn't riot. A great question, because I think he combined fighting for rights for black Americans. He opened up Ole Miss. No black person went to school there.
As the Attorney General.
And he came along. He did the same thing with the University of Alabama. The whole SEC, if you will, was integrated by him. At the same time, he wanted law and order. He would go around, think of a Democrat who's done this, a liberal who's gone around saying, I want law and order. I want law enforced. He did that in Indiana primary. And I think at the end of the year, at the end of his life, when his body was taken from New York to Washington, the crowds were black and white. The black crowds in Philadelphia singing Battle Hymn of the Republic, other white people saluting like enlisted men in the army with their kids in birth order. They believed in him because he believed in civil rights, opportunity, and law and order. You don't hear many liberals saying that. They pick these lefty DAs, you know they do it, and all these big cities backed by whoever, and they put them in office because they think that's a liberal position. Supporting crime opportunity is not a liberal position. And Bobby never believed that. There's
also, I think you pointed, it's the lefty idea is not just about law and order, but about sort of the construct of American society. This is Dave Portnoy on CBS Sunday Morning. Take a listen.
And to be honest, it's the white guy, and this sounds, but was the bad guy, became the bad guy. And there's a lot of, white dudes who are like, well, I'm not the bad guy. Like, what are you getting mad at me for? I wasn't here for colonialism or any of the stuff that you guys are complaining about 200 years ago.
Was part of Bobby Kennedy's secret sauce, if you will, that it wasn't a grievance-based message?
Well, look, if I were advising the Democrats, like you were talking about before with Bill O'Reilly, I would say, don't talk about the new mayor of New York. Talk about
Mikey Sherrill, Abigail Sperber.
Mikey Sherrill looks delighted to be a Democrat and to be in public office. She's not angry at anybody. She just wants to do the job.
Right, but you got the governor of Massachusetts now appointing.
Look, am I the governor of Massachusetts? No. Okay.
But you understand which Democratic Party? What is the lesson from Bobby Kennedy?
Common sense, like you said in the beginning. Common sense. And I think Bobby Kennedy would drive around in Gary, Indiana, with the local fighter, Tony Zale, who knocked out Rocky Graziano a couple of times. He had him one side of him, the other side of him, he had Richard Hatcher, the first black mayor. He wanted to be both sides. He wanted to be opportunity, but he also wanted law and order. It was
okay. There's something here that's happening.
We don't know what he would do about it.
You're talking about common sense, though.
No,
your old employer, MSNBC, is now MS Now. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I asked somebody the other night if they remember NBC.
Okay. So they left off NBC because now they can be full-on liberal.
Why do you think they did that?
Well, I think because they wanted to be a full-on liberal elite. But here's the
No, but
question.
why did MSNBC get separated from NBC?
You tell me. You work.
I want to know.
It's a great question.
You're
but
in the business. I'm not.
Here's my question. What do you think now? Can the Democratic Party that now has to cater to MS Now, that is the audition to be in the Democratic Party and a national figure in the Democratic Party, if you have the people at MS Now who are there...
Clearly, that's a problem. Clearly, if you play to them, you're going to lose the general election, probably, unless you have a very blue district or state. This is a problem. And I look at them lining up, and when they make these statements, I go, that's for MSNBC. That's not for the electorate. And that's a problem. But I'm a moderate, so I disagree with those people. I'm not a Bernie Sanders guy. I'm just not. But Bernie Sanders would say, same thing. Go with the left in the primary and go to the left in the general. But I'd ask you, when does the left ever win a general? It's very rare, except in New York City.
All right. I love the book. Thank you very much. Lessons from Bobby Kennedy. And I have to say, he was one of my heroes growing up. And I loved your other book on him as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Good to see you. Appreciate it, Chris.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.